Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. We're doing this podcast primarily for our CG members, which is a community group. My name is Adam Vilches, and this is Ana Castillo, Authentically AV.
Authentically AV.
Authentically AV. But we're primarily doing this for CG to answer questions about relationships and how to conduct a godly relationship. But feel free to follow along if you want to hear our opinion on things. But once again, I will always advise that you seek counsel from someone older or seek counsel within the Bible itself for scriptural backup for everything. Because don't take our opinion to full account, because we could be totally wrong, but we will share our opinion to our best ability.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. All right, so first question. We have a little bowl, by the way. They gave us all these questions, so we got to get through all these. That's great.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yep. Yeah. We've been through some of these before, but it'll be good.
That'll be good. So the first one is, would you consider your husband to be your soulmate or teammate or both?
I think it depends on the kind of person you are to see which one you see your significant other as. So, for example, my sister just recently got married, and in her vows to her husband, she said that she doesn't usually believe in soulmates, but she sees just how intricately the Lord made her and him to put together, and their story is absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does speak to almost like a soulmate, but I truly believe that your significant other should sort of feel like that too. They should be one of the other people who gets you, especially in marriage. When you are married and under the covenant of marriage and you have sex and you create those bonds, you are creating a soul tie with them. So I do believe that they at that point would become a soulmate, but they're also your teammate. They're definitely there to support you, to be there for you, to call you out, to love you, and those things. So I'd say both.
Okay. Do you believe in soulmates?
I don't think so, not yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you not believe in soulmates, actually?
Because I feel like there's a lot of right people that could be right for you, but it's all about where you are when you're there and what you're doing and what your heart's intent is that show whether or not that person is your soulmate. So.
I agree. I do believe in soulmates, actually. So
Interesting.
On the opposite side of me. Absolutely. I believe that any relationship can actually work if both people are willing to put in the effort.
Yeah.
Naturally. But I truly believe that God has intentionally made somebody for you.
Okay.
To help support you.
Yeah.
Now is it a specific person? No. I think it's a specific thing.
Like a trait or a characteristic that a person has.
Their character. Some people have the same character, right? Mm-hmm. So what character are you looking for? You're looking for a godly character.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean.
That's the same thing what I said, but okay.
Just word it a little differently.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
I'm kidding. But to answer the question, I think you should consider your husband or your wife, actually, to be your soulmate or teammate. Because, one, that's the person that you made that vow with, till death do us part. So I truly believe that, you should stick with this person the whole way through, and that you should treat them as such, and they are your teammate. And the reason why I say your teammate is because you guys gotta be on the same page on everything, so which is really important in dating, to ask those questions, kids, how do you want to raise kids, stuff like that, because it's super important. Because if you're not on the same page, what happens is you start to fight, and a lot of that ends in divorce.
Yeah.
And in one case, one of my family members is kind of going through divorce right now, and it was because her husband was a Jehovah's Witness, and she is not. She's a Christian.
Yeah.
Now the whole family, before they got married, advised her, don't do it, because of that fact. Because we were it doesn't matter if he's a great guy. Your religious beliefs is going to cause issues between y'all. My abuelo, who, by the way, my abuelo is a great man. Now, those who have heard me on podcasts have heard me talk about my grandfather a lot, because I respect him so much.
Yeah.
He is the man. He is super hospitable. He allows people to come in his house. He would eat with people that hated him, wanted to kill him, and he would be welcoming. And he's never shown any spite towards anybody, but it was the first time he met this man. He looked at my cousin, Vivian, and said, Vivian, do not marry this man. I will not allow him in my household.
Wow.
Yeah, and when people said why, his response was, "It's because he's of a different faith. He will cause ruin in your life."
Yeah. I
And
agree with
now that's happening because when she asked him, "Hey, I want to have kids," he says, "Okay, the first kid can be Christian, but the second has to be Jehovah's Witness." Yeah,
that doesn't even work. Like,
I
that's
know.
not fair.
Yeah, but that's what
not
kind of
right.
happens. So
Oh
like,
my gosh.
so yes, your husband should and your wife should be your teammate, but you have to make sure you guys are all on the same page before you say, "Hey, you want to get married?"
Yeah, well, in order to be your teammate, you have to be on the same team.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So.
But yeah, they should be on your same team, 1,000%, not one above the other.
Yeah.
I truly believe the man should lead, but that doesn't mean like you don't get your advice from your wife. You know what I mean? Like you need to be on the same page. You know.
Yeah.
You can't be like, okay, the wife says, "I disagree with you," and you say, "Too bad, suck it up, Buttercup. You got to do what I say." No, it's more of like an agreement of like, let's do this together, so you guys can move through slowly. You know.
Yeah.
Great question. Let's go. We got multiple questions on this one.
Oh wow.
How does a man lead a woman in a godly relationship? How does a man lead a godly? How does a man lead the woman in a godly relationship? Well, I answer this. You tie her up. No, and you're like, "You're coming with me."
No, you don't do that. That's not a taming of the shrew moment. Oh my gosh.
That's a good play.
Tell me about it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I watched the movie. That's a good movie too.
Wow.
I'm a nerd. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Listen. How does a man lead a woman in a godly relationship? It's like this. I said this in our CG, but this is for those who haven't been. There's 3 characteristics that a man should do within a relationship. It's called the 3 Ps. It's the 3 Ps principles: preacher, provider, and protector. Now, I find that super essential. Why? Because that's as a job as a man should do. They need to protect, they need to provide, and they need to lead in a godly relationship, right? So, but the problem is a lot of people can sometimes take that in different ways. Like, they're like, okay, I need to protect her. So that means if a guy comes up and hits on her and says, "Hey, I want to, like, you know," and you want to fight that man. No, yes, like, protect her from enemies and everything, like disasters and everything like that. But also that means protect her heart.
Yeah.
Like, make sure that you're protecting her within a dating relationship, but also in marriage. Like, are you doing something to cause her to stumble? Are you leading her in the right way, like, to Christ? Like, you have to protect her soul, her mind, her body, and everything. Like, be very mindful of that. And then same thing with providing. Like, I understand this, guys, by the way, where we're like, we need to provide for our wife.
Yeah.
And provide for our girlfriend. So we work so hard. And a lot of times I've heard girls be like, oh, you work all the time, but you're not there for me. And it's like, you're like, I'm providing for you. Yes and no. You are providing for physical needs, but not for her emotional needs or her spiritual needs. So I find that very, very essential. Listen to me, guys. This is super important. Because a lot of times, I've seen grown men, those who are older than me, who fail in this area because they feel like, in order for me to provide for her, I have to just give her like stuff. No, provide for her emotionally. She needs that intentionality. And then lastly, being a preacher, people are like, okay, I got to do Bible studies with her. I got to do like prayer time. Absolutely. But you should also encourage her to have that personal time with God, because that's her relationship with God. You are not the dictator of y'all's relationship with God. She needs to have her personal one.
Yeah, and that actually answers the second question, which says, how often should I spend time with my significant other? Should we read our Bible and pray together? I highly, highly suggest that if you are in a relationship with somebody or seriously talking to them and it's leading towards a relationship, that you open that, like, area to them. Like, you spend time in the Word with them, you pray over them, and you do that with them and you do that without them. Like, you do it separately, because their role is to help build you in your faith and you vice versa, but you have to have your own faith to begin with. Like, one person can't be pouring into the other. That's like an equal relationship, an unequally yoked relationship, and that can be very straining for one person, and very just like not beneficial, but like it's just not the best for both parties, because you're supposed to be intentional about both people in a relationship. The last question says, when do you go from dating to in a relationship? So this is more of a personal opinion, but going from like dating to a relationship, you have to really gauge like how the person's talking, how they're treating you, where y'all are going. I know what's the church in Dallas?
The Porch.
The Porch. Thank you. Yes, the Porch talks a lot about DTR, which is define the relationship.
That's facts.
And so after a while of like going on dates and hanging out with this person and getting to know them, if you truly feel like it is like in your heart to date this person, sit down, have the conversation. Might be a little bit awkward. Might be great. Might be both. Mm-hmm. But you need to define that relationship so that you both know where you're going and you both know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So
I completely agree. I absolutely hate it when people like are like very confusing. It's like, well, I don't know what to do. You know, they're a great guy or they're a great girl. I'm like, bro or girl, stop. You know, you need that definition. And guys, I will highly encourage this for y'all. Help define that. You know, like really like take lead in that, I would say. You know, girls, if you want to take lead in that and like define that, that's great. But I really feel like the guy should definitely do that. Be like, set her down and be like, I want to be with you. That's what I want. And if she says no, cool, move on.
Yeah, and I think that's like important too, because sometimes guys don't move on and then they get hung up and it just becomes like a whole like unraveling,
yeah, absolutely. So define their relationship, super important.
Clarity is kindness,
and don't do the stupid I want to go on a coffee date to hear your testimony thing.
No.
If you ever do that, I'm sorry, this is my personal opinion, but like I have no respect. Well, I do respect y'all, but like also I'm like, stop that. It's like, you want to date this girl, you want to go on a date with her, just go on a date with her.
Yeah, like don't, because then the girl's going to think that you're just going out to coffee to become friends.
Yeah.
And that's not clear.
Very misleading, you know?
Yes.
Like, I'm a very blunt person. I'm a very oblivious person, but I'm also a very blunt person. Yeah. Girls that like me, they'll like tell me, and I'm like, huh? I'm like super confused. But on the other end, I'm like, I'll go straight up to a girl and be like, I like you. And they're like, wow. What do I do with that? I'm like, nothing.
And so I make the next move.
Next question. How do you give advice to your friend who isn't a believer and is in a toxic relationship when you know the core of your advice is Jesus?
Honestly, I had to do this with one of my best friends.
Let's go.
You just have to be there for them. You have to support them. And if they're truly friends with you, they're going to hear you out for what you have to say, and they're going to hear what they want to hear at the end of the day. And it's going to be difficult because they may not listen to you. Mm-hmm. They might hear and it goes out the other ear. But if they truly value what they're asking you and like they're asking for your advice and you give it to them and you give them the truth, that could save them. Like that could save them from a toxic relationship, and that could save them from like eternity in hell. Mm-hmm. And I think so many times we are afraid because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings because of the circumstances that they're in, that we just kind of like step back and like play lifeguard to say and wait till they're absolutely drowning to save them. But if you are really good friends with this person, I would say it. They're not going to get offended. They shouldn't get offended at you for what you're saying.
No, I completely agree, because I have a friend who has been through multiple relationships and he's not a believer. And I will continuously preach to him about the values of God. And he knows them, right? But I will still continue to do so. Like, I think if you are trying to help a friend and you're like, I don't want to hurt their feelings, you're not being a friend. Sometimes you have to be harsh. You know, It's important to be loving, absolutely, and caring, and be merciful, but you also have to be harsh and let them know the truth, you know? Like Jesus even, like, would tell the Pharisees, you pit of vipers, you serpents, like, he was telling them how it is. It's like, it's not a bad thing to be harsh with your friends. Mm-hmm. Like, don't be so where you push them away, but do it in a way where it's like, I'm doing this in a loving way because I'm trying to help you. And a lot of times they might not follow your advice. And if they don't follow your advice, sometimes you got to just let them fall. And that seems really hard to do. But in reality, that's all you can do. All you can do for them is pray for them, be there for them. And like, when they fall, be there. Yeah. But like, you can continue to advise them, and another thing is like people like, well, my core values is Jesus, so I had to preach to these people. A lot of fundamental truths that people believe in are through Jesus.
Yeah, like a lot of the natural morals that you find and the values that you find that people have are like technically biblical.
Absolutely.
So they're probably not as closed off as you think.
Absolutely.
Lord willing.
Lord willing, yes. If you never get married, is it still biblical to adopt a child coming from an abusive or not good home situation?
Most definitely. There's nothing in the Bible that says that you can't have a kid, like adopt a kid. I think truly, as long as it's led by the Spirit and it's something that like the Lord places in your heart, if you want to, do it. And there is blessing and obedience. My mom tells me that all the time. There's blessing and obedience in the Lord. And if you are single and the Lord really places it on your heart to adopt a child, yes. I mean, that's just another person that you can help show the love of Christ to. And on top of that, build who they are. I mean, a lot of the children that are in foster homes and like the system are broken and they're hurt and they go through terrible things. And so I think it would be actually like such an amazing blessing for that child to be taken out of that and to be loved and to be shown what love is and to be shown who love is. So I think, yeah.
I completely agree. I think it's super important. I think adopting a child's a blessing, 1,000%. However, I would also err on caution, of course. Like, you have to understand where these kids are coming from and understand to be patient and understanding because their circumstances different. Don't let it define them, but be understanding. And this is from experience of being in helping out in an orphanage home for a few years. Like, I've seen those kids, like, I get it, you know, like they want that family and everything, but you have to be understanding, but don't let it define them, because if you allow them to define it, they will use that as a handicap and hinder them from growing. So, like, be understanding, be patient, but, like, you know, help them. And another thing that you need to understand, if you are not in marriage and you're single and you're adopting a kid, that's great. I support that. If you want to do that, great. But you also have to understand your limitations, because it's the reason why, like, couples, like man and wife, is super important in a relationship, especially with kids, is because of the two different perspectives. So you need to understand, if you're a woman adopting a kid and you're single, understand that your perspective is super essential to the kid, but that kid also needs perspective from a man. Now, you don't have to get a husband. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is understand what limitations would be placed on the kid for not having that perspective of a man, and vice versa. So, like, if a man is adopting a kid, understand the limitations that you can give that a woman is essential to give to your kid. So understand that. And if you want to find advice, like, in that, I would suggest finding advice within your church community. Find a mentor for that kid that is of the opposite sex that can help them through that. That's my opinion on that. Nice. All right, next question. Is divorce ever okay?
Yes, it actually says that in the Bible. Under the
Levitical.
No, not the Levitical law. It's another part in the Bible. But it says divorce is okay only if the man cheats on the wife, or like if there's cheating in the relationship. It's in Deuteronomy, I think. Look it up. But yes, under certain circumstances, it is completely, like, it is justified and okay to get divorced. But this might sound harsh and this might sound like very, like, legalistic, and I'm not coming from there at all. My heart's not there. But I don't necessarily believe in divorce. And so if you come from a household where that is a thing, like, you can be the person to stop that. First off, like, encouragement to you. But also, you should know with your partner, like, before you get married, is divorce a thing that y'all are going to seek if it comes to that? Because your vows say till death do this part. That means even in the hard times, even in the trials, even if so-and-so cheats on you, it still says till death do his part. So, that's my 2 cents.
So in Matthew 5, verses 31 through 32, it says, "It has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality,
Yes,
makes her a
that's what it
victim
is.
of adultery, and anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery." And in Deuteronomy 24, 1 through 4, it says, "If a man marries a woman who becomes displeasing to him because he finds something indecent about her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce, gives it to her, and sends her from his house, and after she leaves his house, she becomes the wife of another man, and her second husband dislikes her and writes her a certificate of divorce, gives it to her, and sends her from his house, or if he dies, then her first husband who divorced her is not allowed to marry her again after she's been defiled. That would be detestable in the eyes of the Lord. Do not bring sin upon the land of the Lord God, giving you inheritance." Um, so, yeah, that's the main scripture on that.
Can we re-answer that question?
Hmm?
Can we re-answer that question or no?
You can re-answer it.
Yeah.
Or do you want me to answer it?
You can answer it.
Okay, so this is like, so through that scripture, and the reason I think divorce is okay is like there is like there's sin involved. Like if
Yeah.
she's like, if he or she is committing sexual immorality against you,
Yeah.
of course I think you can work through it. It's hard. It's very, very hard, but I feel like you could work through it if you guys put the effort in. But in doing so, that would mean the man or woman who did cheat would have to adhere to a lot of boundaries, and then the one who was cheated on, he or her that was cheated on, has to have a lot of grace and understanding and not bitterness.
And rebuild that trust.
Because a lot of times this is my main thing. This is just not just with divorce, but just anything at all. If someone sins against somebody, how you react is super essential. So if you react negatively, you yourself could be sinning. You know what I mean? So I feel like, you have to be understanding everything like that. Now, I feel like there are some circumstances like divorce is okay, but you have to understand the consequences of it. Scripturally, it's not suggested to get remarried. And if you do, and you get divorced again, you can't go back to your previous partner, as it says in Deuteronomy, because that's defiling. Then when it means defiling, and that means like when you have sex with somebody that causes a soul tie, and breaking that vow, it's really bad. So, and I actually follow the same perspective actually my mother and father have on divorce, and that is, if you get divorced, it's better not to have kids with the next partner. Because what happens is causes a lot of issues.
Yeah, makes it harder.
It makes it harder with everything. Yeah. So that's one thing. My view on divorce, because my parents are divorced, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. I hate divorce, and I feel bad for everybody that has to go through this, because it really affects kids, because their first example of what love is their parents. So when they see that fail, it really screws up their perception of love. And I encourage you that you can come out of that and to rely on God's love and realize what his definition of love is, and not to rely on your own definition, but rely on God's. I don't support divorce wholeheartedly, because I feel like it really hurts so many people. It causes a ripple effect. In some circumstances, I think it is okay, depending on the situation, after a long consideration of prayer, advice on how to handle the situation.
Yeah.
Don't just up and go, "I'm tired of you, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's just awful, because that's very selfish, because it really causes, like, also take into account who's going to get hurt. Like, really.
Like, everyone. The significant other that you're leaving, your children, if you have any children, the parents, the relationships between those people and the people around them, because they're going to be asking those questions. They're going to, other people are going to be asking them about it. Other people are going to, people are faulty. We're not perfect. So some people will be bitter towards someone else for what they've done. It hurts a lot more than just the people involved.
So, yes, based on circumstances. However, I highly suggest you don't. Really try to work through that. I really do. I'm going to say that one for last, actually.
Okay.
How long is too long to wait to establish a godly relationship?
How long is too long to wait to establish? you know, if you are talking to this person for like,
that's very dependable.
it really is just like a
circumstance.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if you guys weren't believers and then you became believers, but you've been dating for like 2-3 years, that's I don't feel it's too long. You have time to like establish that godly relationship.
Oh, I was coming at it from the perspective of like y'all are both already Christians and like have the same beliefs.
I was thinking both.
Okay.
That's one, and then I guess I can talk about that one. You can talk about the other one.
Okay.
So like if you're coming as new believers and you're like, oh, I didn't know, and like maybe I screwed this up because I've been in an ungodly relationship this whole time. Don't be disheartened. You know, like it takes time. You know, you can establish a godly relationship. Like, and if it's like one person's godly and the other person's not godly, I would highly figure that out.
Re-examine.
Don't be their savior. But if you are one person's a believer and one is a new believer, I still think that works as long as the person that has been a believer doesn't become the God center of the new believer. And that example is actually my best friend Daphne. So Daphne became a new believer, and 1 month after she accepted Christ, she met John, and they started dating. Now John's been a believer his like entire life. He grew up in it. His dad was a pastor and everything like that. And she told me, she goes, I was trying really hard not to make John my center of my godly relationship because that's dangerous. So it works if both of y'all are on the same page.
Aware and ready. On the perspective of like y'all are both already Christians, I would say gauge it. I mean, if y'all are both actually like wholeheartedly looking for a godly relationship and you're taking things like very steadily but in the right time and pace, I really think that it should be up to y'all to, again, define the relationship and define what y'all are doing. I mean, it's very important to be very intentional with who you talk to and who you are interested in, because that could be the person that could make or break like a time in your life. You could break up with them and that could be so difficult, or you could end up building a life with them and building a life for Christ with them. So I really think it should be gauged.
Absolutely. Don't put it off as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Everyone is redeemable. Next question. What does waiting on God's plan in singleness look like?
It looks like just being okay with it. I mean, our time of singleness is heightened so much by almost like the idolization of relationships and of being in marriage. I think that is something that has like blown up recently. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm single. I see it all the time on Instagram and on TikTok. People are like, oh, my season of singleness. If you have that perspective, you're never gonna get out of it. You're never ever gonna get out of it. You're gonna be in a rut technically because you're waiting on your season to be over. But like waiting in a season of singleness should be like, Lord, what am I gonna do for you now? Like, I have this opportunity and I have this time.
Gyra.
Is enough. No. But like, I have this opportunity and I have this time to where I'm not linked to another person. I can go do whatever I'd like. Like, I can, not whatever I'd like, within means. Within godly means. Within godly means.
She's about to speak
like, no, I'm not going to. But like, you can spend time with the people that you love. You can pour into ministries that are around you. You can pour into people that are around you. And ultimately, like, you can truly live for the Lord more outside of a relationship than in a relationship. Not that you can't in a relationship, but it's a different kind. And I think Peter says in the Bible... Paul, thank you. It was one of the P names. But Paul talks in the Bible about how being in a relationship is great, but being single is greater, because you have the personal autonomy to fully devote yourself to the kingdom of the Lord. The moment that you are in a relationship and the moment that you are with a significant other, you have a responsibility to them as well to the Lord.
Absolutely.
So
it's those obligations. Enjoy the singleness. Like, don't let it define you. It's a really like a mindset shift. She hit every point. So we can move on to the next question. You're killing it, girl. So, oh wow. All right, this sticks. How do you break a soul tie?
Oh. You can't. In all honesty,
I can answer this question.
The only way to break a soul tie is by surrendering it to Jesus Christ. Truly.
So, for those who don't know, I am not a virgin. Unfortunately, I had sex outside of marriage, and I do wholeheartedly regret it. And I don't let it define me, but it is something that does haunt me sometimes. And it's very sad. Like, I understand some of y'all out there are like, well, it's okay. Like, I want to marry this girl. No, stop. What are you doing? Stop. Just wait till marriage. It's gonna be totally worth it. But I will tell you, it's hard. And in reality is I actually had this conversation with another person. His name is Lincoln, because we both have had sex outside of marriage, and we both agreed on this point. You can't. Like, God can redeem you and forgive you and move on, but you can't really break a soul tie. Unfortunately, it's like, because he's had longer time since his last relationship when that happened. He told me it kind of follows you, like, and it's like that kind of feeling of like it's still in the back of your mind of like that connection. Now, would you ever go back to that person? Absolutely not. I would never go back. If she came in here right now, first of all, I'd be like, what the heck? But second off, whoa. But second off, the answer would be no, because of the things that have happened. However, it's difficult because you have to live with the fact that like that connection has already been made, and that's probably going to be there. Now, God is gracious and he helps you through those moments, absolutely. But understand, like, don't let those moments of getting you down and realizing, man, I gave myself to that person, don't let that get you down and keep you in a rut, because the enemy will use that. Get out of it and realize that God is gracious and merciful and he has redeemed you. Absolutely. Yes. That's a hard question, bro.
It is.
What is a man's role in a godly relationship? I feel like we've already answered. Is sex within marriage important to women?
Yes.
I don't know, Anna, is sex...
I'm the woman here. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, so a lot of times people like to say in a relationship that a man wants respect and a woman wants love. And while I would agree with that, I would also say, like, love is shown in very different ways and respect is shown in very different ways. And when you are under the covenant of marriage and when you are under, like, that promise to your person, you, like, value spending time with them. And that is a very intimate time with them that women want. Like, let's be real. Women have sexual desires too.
It's facts.
And
don't let them fool you.
No. Like, women have sexual desires too. We want to be wanted. We want to be loved. And in the right context, yes, I would say especially in marriage, women value it.
It's super important.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's super important. It really builds a connection with your partner. But understand, guys, it doesn't just come freely. You have to respect her and continue to love her. Like, if you're in a relationship, in your long-term relationship, and you stop doing dates and stuff like and being intentional, you're an idiot. Keep being intentional, you know?
Yeah.
Like, trust me. You know, actually, a really funny story. I don't know if I should say it. I won't say it anyways.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Okay. The funny story is this. My last relationship, actually, the grandmother came up to me and said, Adam, if you dance with your girlfriend, she'll want to have more sex with you. And I cracked up. But the lesson out of this is be intentional with your partner within marriage, because that's important.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yes.
But it's a funny story.
That is a really interesting story. I've never heard that.
Dude, I have more stories.
Okay.
I'll tell you after if you want.
Okay. This next question says, what is a dead giveaway to tell if a man is godly or a non-godly man?
Tell me, Anna, what is a dead giveaway?
What is a dead giveaway? Their fruit. The fruit
if they
that
have bananas, is it ripe? Okay, sorry.
All right. Back to what I was saying. No. Their fruit. Like, are you seeing them joyful? Are you seeing them, like, being kind, being slow to anger, being, like, having self-control, loving other people? Those things are very important because they show you, like, who that person is. And if they have godly characteristics, they're probably a godly person. If you see this person and in CG, like, or in their community group, they're so kind and they're so cool and they're so sweet, but then you go, like, you see them outside of the library, like at the library or at the gym, and he's like super upset or he's like yelling at somebody, that's probably not a godly characteristic, respectfully. So again, it's a gauge, but if you see fruits of the Spirit, you're seeing a godly man.
Absolutely.
I would say.
I agree. As a man, yes. The answer to that question is yes. Like, if you see their fruit, it will be shown, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, I had this conversation before you came. What? It's like, there are some people that I know who are in CG or they're in, like, groups, and they will say all the right answers. Like, and everyone's like, wow, you're so wise. But outside of it, the character's not shown. It's consistent throughout. Are they consistent in their friendships?
Do they have integrity? Do they have integrity?
Amen, Gyro.
Great word.
Gyro.
I was like drilled about integrity when I was in high school.
Okay. How young is too young for marriage, realistically?
Again, it's a gauge. Truly. I feel like
it's
a
never too young.
broken record.
I'm kidding.
Whoa. Because it really just depends on your relationship and your relationship with the Lord. If the Lord is calling you to marry this person at a young age, that's fine. That's great. My cousin got married at 17 years old, and they have a beautiful relationship and a beautiful family. My sister just recently got married. She got married at 20. She just turned 21 right after that, and I would think that's pretty young. But like the Lord calls us at different times. So if someone is getting married young, don't judge them for it. Like praise that the Lord gave them that relationship and gave them that like confidence to do that. But then also, like, if you don't get married for a little bit later, that's okay too. It's just...
No, I agree. It is definitely a gauge. Because don't ever do a honeymoon marriage. Don't be like, oh, I have all these butterflies. She's the one. I just met her, blah, blah, blah. And then immediately do it. Like, sometimes realistically, you need to get over that honeymoon phase and really get to see who they are as a person. If you get to see them for who they truly are, within their family, within their friends, like their characteristics, do they have integrity, all this stuff, then that's a conversation for you to consider. And I feel like at that age, if it's an early age and they have that and that consistency, blah, 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 absolutely go for it. But I suggest you find counsel too. It's super important. And now some people might disagree with me, but I would suggest marriage counseling before you even get married.
Yeah.
And even within marriage, because it's super important.
Yes.
You have to have that pure communication with your partner. Like, don't be like, oh, we know everything about each other. Trust me, in marriage counseling, you're gonna find out, are we all on the same page? Like how many kids do you want? And he goes, I just want one. And she's like, I want 16. It's like, dang, calm down. But like, you know what I mean? It's just you have to. There needs to be a
healthy middle between those two.
Next question: how do you want to be treated by your? How do you want to be treated by your partner when you're on your period? At all?
Why don't you ask this question, Adam?
I will actually answer this question.
No, you don't have to.
I will answer this question because I get this. Because I was in a class in my junior year. It was just girls, and I was the only guy. I have a sister. Of course, I have a mom. Now, I will say this, guys. We do not understand. Okay, don't ever think that you do. You never will, and be respectful of that. That's number one. Okay, and second off, like. When they're like, now she's gonna answer better than I will because you'll go, but I will say from my experience in my relationships, be very considerate, and if they're going through like mood swings or stuff like that, just be very, very patient. Don't react in an emotional way, because guys are logical, girls are a little bit more emotional, and that's fine. So don't come at it in a logical way. Come in at a little bit more emotional way of like understanding how she is, like treat her right and be respectfully. One thing that I did from my past relationship is, now this might sound a little creepy, but I don't think it's that creepy. Is like I knew what time her was. I knew her cycle, and because of that, I knew how to treat it. So I would get everything she needed. So like food, like get her a bath. I'm a simp.
Oh, yeah.
Straight up, I'm a simp. But like, I want her to feel good because I've seen my sister suffer. I saw my mom suffer. Like, I've been in those situations where my mom would tell me stuff. Like, I won't say it here online, but like, there's some times where like I was told like stuff that was going on, and I had to help my mom out, and I had to help my sister out, and I was like, and don't ever. And first of all, guys, don't ever be like, it's gross. grow up. Don't be a
No,
baby.
please don't be like that.
Like, and if she's like, I need you to go get pads or whatever from the store, dude, who cares? Who cares? You're going through the checkout line. Who cares? Own
Honestly, like, yeah, I was gonna say kudos to
Shira.
you if you like are confident and like don't care about
I really
that.
don't care. I'll be honest. I'm that guy.
Good.
I'm
I would say like in a relationship, if like the girl's on her period and she's not feeling good, just be extra caring, be more attentive, and if you don't know, like, it doesn't hurt to ask. Truly, I know
Don't
some
assume.
girls don't assume, but it doesn't hurt to ask. Like, and be gentle with it. Women are usually more fragile emotionally when they are on their period or near it. So I would say just be extra caring and be attentive to what she needs. Sometimes girls just need quality time. Sometimes girls just need quality time alone without you.
And respect that. Don't be like, oh, she hates me. No, bro.
No.
Don't be insecure. Be like, okay, you want quiet time. That's fine. And just like have that pure communication.
Yeah, have pure communication. Like, just be real about it. I mean, it's a natural thing. If this is the person you end up marrying, you're gonna know.
Absolutely.
So.
Gyra, guys.
Okay.
You don't like when I say gyra?
No, it's everyone's been saying it right now. It's kind of funny.
Gyra, guys. Anyways, next question. What is the right amount of time? What is the right amount of time to spend in the Word with your girlfriend before you become spiritually dependent on the other person?
I don't think there's necessarily like a limit to how much time. Like, there's not like a 1 or 2 hour limit. I really think it's, are you going to them or are you going to the Word to fill you up?
Amen to that.
If you're constantly going to a person to fill you up and to like give you that like time with the Lord, that's when you're spiritually dependent on a person. When you go to God and you go to the Word and you're with them, that it doesn't hurt. You could, not that like this is ideal because people have schedules and time and stuff, but let's say like, for example, you were to spend the whole day in the Word of God with your significant other. That's great. That'll bring so many revelations. That'll bring so much more like connection. But it's, are you in the Word with them or are you going to them to be in the Word? Mm-hmm. That's the issue.
Just to tag off that, completely agree. Also, another thing that we said before, do they have personal time? Do you have personal time with Christ?
Yeah.
Yes or no? That's another question you should ask yourself. Next question. At what point should you share real personal things?
Sound like a broken record. You have to gauge it. If the person's asking this question and this is somebody that you've known for a while and you trust them and they ask you this question, don't, like, if you're not ready to respond with it, don't. Just be honest and be like, I'm sorry, I'm not ready to open up about that yet, but thank you for asking. Like, it shows that that person cares, and you responding with that is clear communication showing that, like, you're just not ready, and that is completely okay. But also, if you do want to share that with that person, and you do want to share that with, like, a friend and they ask, be comfortable, like, be comfortable in knowing that they want to get to know you and to, like, know what happened, and they're asking because they care about you. Like, they're asking because they love you, and it's coming from a place of, like, personal intent to be better for you. Mm-hmm. So it should be, like, just whenever you feel ready.
Because it connects, it causes an emotional tie with that person.
Yeah.
It really brings people closer and everything like that, and it's great. However, if you're like just starting to date someone or it's been a few months and you have like some deep personal stories, I would suggest wait later. You know, like, of course you trust them and everything, but like understand, like, if you feel like this is you're still unsure about this person, I would suggest not sharing that stuff because it does cause that emotional tie. Mm-hmm. Next question: how do I stop choosing toxic guys? Most of the time, I never know they're toxic. Also.
That's a good question. How do I stop choosing toxic guys?
I can answer this question.
Oh,
as you think.
You go for it.
While you're thinking, I'm gonna say, listen. All right, now this might be a little controversial to some people. Actually, my mom disagrees with me on this one, because my mom's very like, go date different people, just try different things. I'm like, no. I would prefer someone that I can spend the rest of my life with. I don't want to waste my time in that sense. I want to know who I want to be with. So in order for you to find that out, is actually be friends with them first.
Yeah.
And you get to really know who they are, get to know them on a personal level and see if they are or not, you know? And not only that, but then another clue is how they act, their fruit. Is it shown? Are they just going partying? Because a lot of people have a lot of charisma and they're fake. Just saying. So like really test who they are, and if you really want to know, and if you can't wait in your friendship, maybe you should really rethink your standards.
Okay, I have my answer.
Let's
so
go.
I think the question. Read the question again. Sorry.
How do I stop choosing toxic guys? Most of the time, I never know they're toxic.
Okay, so I know like the whole like bad boy stereotype, and usually the things that are most attractive to our flesh are the things that seem out of reach, or the things that just seem like not logical to say it anyway. So I really think like if you want to stop finding and dating toxic men, you really need to pray about that, because that is like a fleshly desire that you are satisfying. Like you're seeing these guys and they're just attractive on the outside, and you know they have that like charisma about them that like, oh, they're easygoing, they're this, they're that, they're funny, but they're not Christian, you know, like it's okay. No, like you need to put your priorities straight, write down a list of the like things that you want in a godly man, and pray to the Lord that those things become desirable to you.
Another thing, actually, to tag along, I completely agree. My host home actually advised me to, with that list, don't share it with the opposite sex. You can share it with if you're a girl and you made that list, you can share it with your girlfriends.
Yeah, but like your close girlfriends.
Because if you share it with a guy, or if a guy shares it with a girl, you run into the potential of them shape-shifting to those standards and be completely fake. In fact, like I encourage you to share it with your brothers or share it with your sisters if you have those standards, to help them with that. In fact, in my Bible study, another Bible study that I'm part of on Friday nights, I was sharing my standards, and a couple of the guys were like, hey, can you screenshot that and send that to me? Because I need to check those boxes off for the girl I'm talking to. Yeah, bro, absolutely, because those are essential. Absolutely. Next question. This one's funny, actually.
Okay.
Does it unsettle women if homosexual jokes are made?
Yes.
What if they're your partner?
Yes. I, not gonna lie, like, that is one thing I have never understood between the bros.
1 Corinthians 16:20.
No.
Guess your...
that is taking the Bible out of context.
No, it's not. Give your brother a heavenly kiss.
A heavenly kiss? Okay, well, I do think that it, like, offsets girls. It unsettles them. Because they're like, this is literally my man acting more googly-eyed for another man than for me.
What's wrong with that?
We are called to... Okay. Yes. The answer is yes. It does unsettle certain women. Most women.
I think the second part is, what if they're your partner?
If it's, like, truly unsettling... Like, boys will be boys, to be completely honest. You can't really stop them from that. If it truly, like, unsettles you and you are actually concerned about homosexualism or something, talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, have that conversation. Be like, hey, like, you're doing just, like, a little too much. And it's just, like, a lot. And be honest. Like, don't lie to them. Don't sugarcoat it. And tell them how it's making you feel as well. Because that's another thing. Like, the right person's going to value how you feel in that situation. And from there, like, that'll give you a gauge on the kind of person they are and the kind of person they will be. So.
And guys, like, even though it's all jokes, and like, I find that hilarious. Like, but, like, I agree with her. Communicate with your partner, and, like, if they have a problem with that, of course, be respectful. That is your partner. And they're like, all right, it's funny, but it's a little overboard. Be like, okay, I got you. Like, just be understanding, you know, because it is jokes, but sometimes, you know.
Jokes can be taken too far sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next question. How should you handle a breakup?
How should you handle a breakup? So if you're the one doing it, be extremely clear. Don't come in it being spiteful, and be ready for whatever's going to happen next. You don't know how that person's going to take it. You don't know how they're going to react or how they're going to respond. And you need to be ready and, like, combat whatever comes next with the word. Because if that person that is that you're breaking up with is not like biblically sound and is not like truly walking with the Lord, they could wreak so much havoc on your life, and it would be so hard for you like to break up with that person, even though like you're doing what is right, like you're being honest with them, you're telling them the truth, how you're feeling about this relationship. Now if you're getting heartbroken, the same thing. Don't go into it with spite. Be open to listening. Reevaluate the things that your partner is saying that did not work so that you can be better for your next relationship, and be ready to respond, not react. Respond, because those are two very different things. Respond takes time, it takes wisdom, it takes prayer, it takes peace. Reacting is spiteful, it's angry, it's heavy, and it hurts. So for both sides, both parties, don't be spiteful, don't react, respond, take your time, and be forgiving of the other person, because no one is perfect.
I feel like also, I'm going to go on the surface level, and I'm going to go a little deeper. On the surface level, I completely agree with you. To add on to it, I've said this to actually a lot of people. Like, especially if you like go on a date with the girl, and the girl says no, or the guy says no, and like, of course there's all that sadness and everything like this, but I will always say this to people, and this might seem very, very harsh to the viewers. I'm sorry, but also not sorry. If you react in a negative way to the point where you are wreaking havoc in their life, or you are not showing that godly characteristics, I will say this wholeheartedly: doesn't matter how much I care and love for you, you don't deserve her.
And vice versa.
Vice versa. And if she does the same thing to you, she doesn't deserve you. That's just facts. On a deeper level, let's say you have been dating for a while. Once again, spitefulness, don't have that. Everything, have that forgiving heart, because that's the characteristic of Jesus. And sometimes that's hard, and I totally understand, because I was in a long-term relationship when that was broken up. Like, I still like had that caring feeling to her, and I forgave her, despite all the circumstances. Was it easy? No, of course not. It was hard, but like I finally got to that point, and I was encouraged to get to that point, because I didn't want to hold on to that resentment. And I truly believe that if you truly love somebody, you will be able to forgive them, like wholeheartedly. I truly believe that, and that's how I kind of view that. So, but another thing is, in that moment of breakup, you're very, very, very vulnerable. So it's super important to have a community that will help you through it. A godly community, because you will be very tempted, and a lot of you probably are strong Christians and you're like, I would never be tempted, but you're in a very vulnerable state, so those things start to come
a lot
easier, because you're like, I want to numb this pain,
Yeah. Don't
allow that to happen. And that's why community is super important, because if they're godly people, they will not allow you to do so.
Yes. And
another thing is, and this is especially for guys, because I get it, we are like, we got to be tough, we can't talk about it. No. Confide in your brothers. Like, talk about it. It's fine. They're not going to judge you, and if they do judge you, they're not good friends. You should probably get some new ones. But like, I'm just saying, it's like, talk about that, because if you hold it in, that will start to build resentment.
Yeah.
And not just resentment to the person that did that to you, but resentment to women in general, and that's not good. So like, really express that, get through it, everything, like talk about it and just work through it. Like, do stuff, like be active, be healthy, grow spiritually, grow physically, grow mentally and emotionally. Like, don't just settle into this pit and try to get out of that. And once again, that's why community is super, super, super important. Nice.
Yeah, nice.
This actually is an add-on to the last question. How do you deal with a breakup when she or he moves on extremely fast, as well as jumps into multiple relationships?
My mom told me this. Easy comes, easy goes. If somebody is in a relationship with you and moves on extremely fast, he or she probably moved on while they were still in the relationship. And on top of that, like, easy come, easy goes is not the characteristic of a husband. Like, you want someone who is committed to you, who is committed to the things that he, puts his time into. So you need somebody who is not going to do that. Maybe someone's in that season, maybe they're young, and I'm not justifying this at all, because I had this happen to me actually, and it hurts and it stinks.
It sucks.
Yes, it does. It like makes you question about yourself and all these very, very difficult things. But you have to realize that's not a reflection of you. That is a clear depiction of their character.
Amen.
And it shows the level of commitment that they were having in your relationship, because it's being seen in the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So you like don't hold yourself accountable. Don't beat yourself up because this person didn't stay as long. Like you can't. That's only going to tear yourself apart. And I say that from personal experience, because that was something that ate away at me when it happened.
No, I completely agree. It is a reflection of their character. And sometimes if you have been in a long-term relationship and that happens, like, I'm sorry, bro or girl, that's a reflection of who they are. And sometimes we are blinded by our affection and our love for that person. And it is hard, but, like, remember it's not you. Like, of course, remember what you did in a relationship and how you could be better for the next person. But remember, like, the way they react and everything, it's not based on you. It's literally based on them. They make their own decisions. So if they jump into another one, like she said, easy come, easy go. It's really sad, but, like, that's how it is. And remember, don't let it define you. Don't beat yourself up, because that's not a good way. The second question is, should you keep in contact with your ex's family? So why? How long? Oh my gosh. This is stories. I have story time.
Oh, this is hard. Honestly, I would say no, because you have disconnected with the person who first connected you to their family. Mm-hmm. So if you're losing that relationship with them, you close the door to the relationship with the mother, the relationship with the father, the relationship with the siblings or the sisters. Now, if y'all were friends before and you were to, like, date his brother or, like, date his sister, like, the before party, the before relationship can still stay. Mm-hmm. But if you are being introduced by that person, I don't think it is healthy to do that. I truly don't. I don't think that's the wisest thing to do. Just because you're still staying in that playground with, like, the looming person of, like, your ex behind you. And, like, there's no way that those paths can't stay separated, you know?
I completely agree, because here's the thing. This is story time. You're gonna laugh at this. This is really funny. Okay. So, my ex, her grandma, she loves me a lot. Yeah. So after we broke up and everything like that, her grandma still texted me. She sent me a Christmas card, everything, and
I have a similar, continue.
And when she got married and everything like that, she still texts me. She goes, I miss you. I hope that you come back in our lives.
That's sweet, and that's hard.
That is very hard.
It's so hard, but you have to draw that line, because you have been you've been stepping back in that boundary of having that relationship with that person, so you have to do the same.
Absolutely. So, like, I understand, like, this question, where it's coming from. Like, her brother, I would say I would still be his friend, because we were it's funny. We were friends before the relationship, so, like, of course, everything like that. In fact, he's getting married and he's gonna have a kid, and, like, I congratulated him. I hadn't texted him in a long time, but I congratulated him, at least, like, thank you, bro, and everything like that. If he needed anything, I'd be there for him, heartbeat, absolutely, because he was a brother before that. It's funny, actually, because he said while we were in a relationship, goes, if you ever break up with Adam, I'm still gonna be his friend.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
And
but I understand the intentionality of the question, but, like, I agree with Anna. It's like, draw that line, like, if they're reaching out to, like, check up on you, I wouldn't be opposed to be like, I'm doing good, but don't further the conversation. Understand that there's boundaries and everything like that, especially if you get in a relationship with another person. Yes. Understand, like if that happens, like, you really have to set those boundaries and understand that that partner might not be okay with that. So, amen to that. Gyra. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm gonna make a gyra reporter.
Like every day.
Is in a relationship, should the guy pay for everything?
I'm an old-fashioned gal, so I'm gonna say yes to an extent. This man is leading you in a relationship. Like he said earlier, he's going to preach, provide, and protect. I think he should pay for the dates. But that doesn't mean girls can't pay for their significant other as well. Girls can definitely treat their significant other to ice cream, to a meal, to some nice clothes. Like, it goes both ways. It's not just girls get showered with flowers and candies and pretty bracelets and nice things and food and dates and stuff. No, like, you can do the same thing for your partner, and it would even show more, because a lot of guys probably just expect that they have to do that. It would show so much more to them, and it would mean so much more to them if you reciprocated that, truly. So while I say yes, I don't think it's a no profit bargain, if that makes any sense. The girl should want to do that as well.
I'm also an old-fashioned guy. I'm the type of guy that asks the father if I could date the daughter kind of guy. So I am old-fashioned, so I completely agree with on this. I think the guy should pay for everything. Because my parents told me, like, you can't date till you're 16 because you have to be able to drive this girl and you have to pay for her. You have to have the job. That was a requirement. Because you got to be able to provide for her. So I completely agree. I think you need to pay for the girl 1,000%, and always offer to. However, the counter to that, and I understand the thought process behind this, it is super nice. I'm not gonna lie. It always brings a smile and makes my day when the girl I'm with goes, "Hey, I'm going to pay for it because I care about you," kind of thing. Now, don't let that become a habit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I gotta rely on my girl to do that. No. Like, you're the man. Do that. But it is, girls, ladies, advice.
Doesn't hurt.
It does not hurt. It really makes a guy's day 1,000%. Especially if you get them something. Actually, do something. Get them flowers.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Yo,
that would be sweet.
Guys don't usually get flowers. And the reason why I said this is funny because last year for Valentine's Day, me and my friend, my buddy and I, we got flowers for all the girls that we knew, like a single rose. And we got a couple for guys. And one of the guys we got it for literally cried. I won't name who he is, but he cried. He goes, no one's ever done that for me.
That's so sweet.
It warmed my heart. And so, like, girls, like, honestly, get your guy a flower. He might be like, dang, girl, what's up?
Good to know. Put that in my back pocket.
Absolutely. Actually, I will read it. Actually, before I begin, I'm actually going to give a little piece of advice on the side. I actually gave this advice to a couple guys that I know who asked me about relationship advice. You want to make a girl's day? Well, actually, never tell a girl you did this. Now, if she finds out, then you have no control over that. But this is what you should do. You should make 3 lists. One list should be date ideas. So, because here's the thing, guys. We run out of ideas sometimes. So I'm coming up with date ideas on the fly sometimes. This is called a writer's journal. And a writer's journal is like, sometimes we have ideas and we lose those ideas. So it's important to have a journal, so write it down. So, like, if you have a date idea, don't be like, oh, I'm going to remember it. You probably won't. And, like, keep it spicy. And 2, the second list should be everything she likes. So, like, her favorite color, blah, 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 and stuff. Because you got to remember that stuff so you can refer to it. And then the 3rd list, this is one of my favorite lists, is called, I don't know how to name it, but everything that she likes, but based on circumstances. So, like, she likes something specific at a specific time of year, write that down in a specific time of year.
Oh, so, like, if she, like, at Christmas, if she likes going to look at lights, maybe take her to go, like, okay,
yeah, like, be very
be very intentional with, like, when you're doing what.
Those will save you. Absolutely.
That's a good piece of advice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Next question. If it is it bad to lust? Wait, if it is bad to lust, is having a crush bad or considered lust?
No. Okay. So having a crush is not bad. When it becomes like selfish and you start to lust after that and you start to think of like scenarios and like inappropriate scenes that you're doing with that person, that is lust. That is inappropriate. But if you see a guy and you're like, oh my gosh, like he's really handsome, he's really cute, that's okay too. That is like surface level to say. But when it goes further and it gets selfish and it gets to like a ooh, that kind of deal, that is lust, and that is not okay, and you should flee from that as far as you can.
Absolutely. Don't mess around with sexual sin.
No.
It's one of the only sins in the Bible that God's like, run away from.
Yeah.
Don't think you're stronger. Trust.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. Everyone around me is saying my standards are too high, but in reality, there is just one thing I specifically look for. How would I respond to these people? They keep implying that I might not be into guys.
Might not be into guys?
Mm-hmm. Probably because her standards are so high.
First of all, if someone is saying that kind of stuff to you, that's like not a good friend, truly.
Absolutely.
It is perfectly okay to have high standards, because not only are you protecting your heart, but you're preparing yourself, or you should be preparing yourself for that person, because you, and I was told this like in high school, the person you want to end up with is going to be looking for the same thing you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be the base, not like the person that you're looking for, but you have to have the same characteristics of the person that you are looking for. And if you have high standards, do not settle, no matter what. Like, don't look for a unicorn.
Absolutely.
Don't have your standards like in Timbuktu kind of deal. Like, don't do that. But like, if you have high standards and you and you have not budged on those, good for you. Like, I'm glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And truly, like, do not be discouraged by the things other people are saying, because it is most likely that they've been in a relationship that they probably regretted. They have been in circumstances that they probably didn't like. And you know why? Because they don't have the same standards as you. And so they have been through hurt that you haven't, because you protected yourself from that because of the standards that you hold to yourself and to your other person, wherever they may be.
I think godly standards are never too high.
No.
Those are super essential. And like she said, don't look for a unicorn, because that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
Of course, there's certain stuff like I would prefer like this or that, like I would like this person to like this. Like that's different.
Preferences are healthy.
But like those preferences are healthy, but also I wouldn't be so strict on them, in my opinion. Be kind of lenient, because I think in a relationship it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
I think one of the most beautiful thing about relationships is the fact that you guys get to teach each other about yourselves, but also share different things that you probably never knew about. And I think that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so, like, of course, I have preferences. I wouldn't be super strict on preferences, but I would be strict on your standards, and a lot of those standards should be a godly standard.
Yes.
Amen to that. How can you properly establish a godly relationship early on?
Can you properly establish a godly relationship early on?
Mm-hmm.
If this is asking in like the sense of like early on with a person,
mm-hmm.
I would just say, like, be clear with your intentions. Make sure they're on the same page. Don't never talk to this person and then one day turn around and be like, hey, you're godly. You want to go on a date with me? No, like, that is the creepiest thing in the whole wide world. Do not do that. But, like, if y'all have chemistry, if y'all are, like, playing off of each other and y'all are, like, genuinely following the Lord, it is okay to ask that person, to be upfront with them, like, hey, are you interested in me? I'd like to go on a date with you. And if they say yes, wonderful. Lead in that. If they say no, that's okay. That's a door closed for redirection. Truly, like, if you're wondering, like, to establish something early on, just be clear with them. Some people are okay with that. Some people take more time, and some people just, like, don't want it to say. So
establish those boundaries.
Yes.
High key. That you hit it. I'm honest. All right, next question. What is the best way to advise someone on how to get away from their sexual temptations and actions?
Honestly, have accountability.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, have accountability. Pray that the Lord takes away those desires, because they're strong and they're real. Like, that is the biggest, and all sin is equal in the eyes of the Lord, but that is man's biggest struggle, because it is flesh. It is like tied to us. And so, like the Bible says, flee from it. Do whatever you can. Put it in the light. Like, tell your friends about it. Tell the people who like care about you about it, and have them hold you accountable for what you're doing to be able to make you better. Because truly, like, sexual immorality is destructive.
Absolutely.
It is truly destructive, and it hurts. Not just you, but it hurts your future spouse. It can hurt your friends. It can ripple into other people's lives. Like, I have heard so many stories of my friends who struggle with sexual immorality now because they were taught when they were younger that, like, that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, they were first introduced to it by a friend, and the friend didn't know it was bad because the friend thought it was cool, because that's, like, what everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, like, it creates this ripple effect, and it hurts more and more people. So bring it in the light, be held accountable for it, and pray about it. Pray to the Lord that the Lord gives you the strength to have self-control from it and to stay as far away from it as you can. If that means being intentionally single and, like, not hanging out with girls or not hanging out with guys, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do what it takes to be as far away from it as you can.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And to add on just a few more things would be, don't ever put yourself in those circumstances. If you know you're going to struggle in those circumstances, get out of it. And for guys and girls alike, if you are struggling with pornography, especially, or maybe you don't struggle with it, I don't care. From those who don't struggle, from those who really struggle, every phone, block it and give that code to somebody else. Someone put in a code to lock it up so they can get into that. That way, I know some guys who don't struggle with it that much. It doesn't matter. You don't put yourself in that position. Yeah. Like, if there's circumstances, don't have a curfew. You know, if you're with your significant other, you should not be hanging out past midnight. I'm sorry, it's just the case, because that's the hour of temptation, my guys. And so, like, don't, and, like, guard her heart, and girls, guard his heart as well, because sometimes guys struggle with that, like, really hard, and you need to understand it from his level as well, and be like, hey, I know you're struggling with this. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Next question. How should I start talking to a guy if I'm interested in them?
Girl, have an established relationship, like, communication with this man. Don't, if you just saw this man for 5 seconds and you were like, oh my gosh, he looked at me, don't like him just because of that. Know who this person is, know their character, become their friend, and then from there, if you truly feel like it is on your heart from the Lord to ask him and to, like, initiate that conversation, do so. But be very wise about it, truly. Because you want to protect your heart, and you don't want to lead yourself to a place of hurt just because this boy is cute and he looked at you. Truly.
Yeah. Gyro. These next questions, they've been asked, but I'm going to add on just a couple notes. So, like, one says, how does it particularly look like for the man to lead? Should he be in that leadership role, women in submission role while you're dating? We kind of answered this question, but one thing I'm going to add is, ladies, guys want respect more than love, and girls want love. So, guys, give your woman love. Girls, give your guy respect. Now, guys, if you want respect, you have to earn it. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, guys want that, like, that level of, like, I don't have to be in the same room with you to know that I have full confidence that you respect me and my name, you know? It's like, have that kind of ability. But man, if you want that, I understand that we want that, you have to earn it. And that, in order to do that, is to be loving to the woman that you are. Be intentional in that sense. And the second question is, what does it look like to be ready for marriage? We already kind of answered this question with how young, you know. But the same thing. It's just like, what does it look like to be ready for marriage? Is, have you guys talked about it? Have you had the same standards? Are you ready for that? Have you had those conversations? Are you leading each other well? You know, like, do you truly know that I can be with this person for the rest of my life? Yeah. Like, have those conversations. And if you haven't had those conversations, maybe you should. marriage counseling, that's a big thing, and advice. But the next question is, when is a good time to ask someone to go on a date?
Well, do you know the person?
Yeah.
Do you have chemistry with this person? Do you see the fruits of the Lord in this person? You see all those three things? Could be a good time. Just saying.
I think, so when it's a good time to ask someone on a date, yeah. I think, like, I completely agree. Having that chemistry, understanding who they are, and, like, knowing who they are, their character is, that's a super important thing. Don't do the stupid testimony copy dates. I said this earlier, but, like, don't do that. Be intentional, be clear. Also, like, another thing on the side note, now this might not be a popular opinion, but girls, if you want to make the first move, go for it. I think guys should always make the first move, but if you're a girl and you want to make the first move, go for it, but understand after that you first move, the guy should take the lead after that moment. Completely. So trust me, I mean, actually both relationships I got in, I'll be honest, the girl made the first move.
Wow. Interesting.
I'll be honest, I've made my first move on a couple girls, but the two I got into a relationship, the girls made the first move.
Wow.
And
I don't think I would ever make the first move. But I'm traditional, like, no.
Well, traditionally, back in the day, girls would drop their handkerchiefs for guys to pick it up and make the move. So
yeah, I mean, girls can hint.
Yeah, you can hint.
Girls can hint, but, like I'm never going to go to a man and be like, do you want to go on a date with me?
Yeah, I get
Unless
that.
I'm, like, literally dating the man.
Yeah, but I always say, if you're going to drop a hint, make it obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Don't be like, I winked at him.
I sat next to this boy.
I breathed. He didn't get the hint. Now drop a bigger
Guys are just
hint.
oblivious.
Guys are oblivious. I can testify to that, absolutely. I had the girl that made her first move on me. She literally looked me in the eyes and said, I would date you. I said, thank you. Because I thought she was complimenting me.
No.
And then, like, a couple weeks later, I was like, you want to go on a date? She goes, you know I made a move on you. I was like, really?
Okay, next question.
I'm better, guys. I've gotten better. That was when I was 18. I was young. How do you know when it's the right person for you?
It just has to be comfortable. Honestly, like, you're going to be a different person in a relationship than you are going to be in a friendship. And truly, like, does this person, and I know this sounds cheesy to say, but, like, does this person feel like home? Do they comfort you? Do they love you? Do they lead you towards Christ? Like, does it feel nice to be around them? Like, if these, and some of those things are, like, just personal to say, but truly, like, the main lead thing is, like, do you see yourself living the rest of your life with them? That'll tell you if this person is right for you. If this person is godly. Like, if this person is showing the fruit of the Lord and showing, like, characteristics of the Lord and is, like, just, like, emitting Christ. That's, like, the only words I can say. Like, emitting Christ, and you see that, and it's evident, and you are with this person, and you also have, like, those other things that you need, like, the fundamental things of, like, comfort and love and joy with them. Like, you can see that, truly. And, I mean, like, love is a choice. Like, you choose who you love. You choose the person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life. If there are things that you don't like about this person, like they chew with their mouth open, like, I'm sorry, that's going to be with you for the rest of your life. You have to choose to love them through that. So, like, what? Like, truly, like, you have to be willing to lay everything on the line for this person and be willing to put up with everything. Because, again, not everyone's perfect. And by not everyone, I mean nobody's perfect. So, you really just have to be, like, fully comfortable with all that they are.
Because it'll get 10 times worse when you get married.
Yeah, marriage amplifies everything.
Don't think, when we get married, things will change. No. The next question is it okay? That's a good question. Is it okay to nap with with your significant other in the same bed?
No. I'm just gonna say that flat.
What about on the couch? I want to see your perspective, actually, before I answer this.
Okay. On the bed and on the couch? No. Because, first of all, lots of things can happen on the couch. couch and bed. Like, just because you're in a different place doesn't mean nothing's gonna go down. Also, though, you want to, like, give as little away as you think, like, as other people see. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're in a relationship with your significant other and y'all are taking naps in the same bed, what does, like, I know people have Snapchat, I know people have Instagram, like, I know someone's gonna take a photo and be like, oh my gosh, like, he's so cute. What does that say? Like, that could, like, someone could see that and be like, oh, like, they sleep in the same bed together. They probably do other things in the same bed together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's, like, in a public setting and you are with friends, not, like, public setting of a bed. If you were, like, in a group of friends and y'all are both sitting on the couch, like, next to each other, and one falls asleep on their, like, the shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
I think that is fine because there are other people around. But if it is, like, just you and him alone, or just you and her alone in your house, and you fall asleep on them, and, like, y'all, like, are cuddling, no. I don't agree with that. I don't think that is right, because cuddling can lead to other things, and that can get ramped up very fast and can lead to other things and can lead to sin. So, my opinion, nar.
In my opinion, it's the same. Actually, it's nar. I agree completely. Simply because, first of all, to before we get into it, if it's past your curfew, that's not a nap. You shouldn't even be there past your curfew.
Mm-mm.
What are you doing? If you're listening to this right now and you're with your significant other and it's past curfew, get out of there right now.
Yeah.
And
if you just felt convicted by that, but you still don't, it's gonna haunt you. So I would just say, like, just get up and go.
Absolutely.
Respectfully. Send them that text, be like, hey, I love you, but I have to go.
If it's during the daytime, first of all, bed, absolutely not. And never. Once, it's just leading to practice of being comfortable with that. Now, on the couch, once again, no. Why? Because it's practicing to be comfortable with that. And like, oh, well, I'm with my friends and everything. Once again, you're practicing doing that. It's like, well, we were with our friends and, now nobody's here. I'm getting comfortable. No, you're practicing to get your mind ready for that. Mm-hmm. It leads to something else. That's why holding hands makes babies. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying, it's like, it's practice, be aware of what that leads to. Now, if you're with your significant other and she falls asleep on you, or he falls asleep on you, that's adorable. It's cute. Yeah. But, like, understand what that could lead to and be mindful of that.
And set those boundaries to protect the other person.
Absolutely. Jaira. Is having feminine qualities okay?
Yeah. I think,
I think this is a guy question.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
Because we don't have...
Personality-wise.
Okay. I think it is okay. There are certain circumstances where guys grow up with only sisters, or guys grow up, like, around girls more than they do guys, and they have more feminine qualities. That does not take away from their masculinity, but they should still be masculine in a sense. Like, feminine qualities is, like, caring. That's a feminine quality. If a guy's caring, like, a girl wants someone who's caring. Mm-hmm. If a guy is careful and tender, like, a girl wants that. But if there is zero masculinity, and I say masculinity, I know people might be like, oh my gosh, toxic masculinity. There is toxic masculinity, but being masculine is okay too. Mm-hmm. And being masculine is not being is not being toxic masculine-wise. Sorry, I was, like, trying to find out how to word that. But truly, like, having feminine qualities does not discount your masculinity. Mm-hmm. It does not. Now, if you're walking around in a skirt, that's a different... No, like, you know what I mean. Yeah. You're just adding fun things on that. But, like, if you're, like, actually doing things that, like, girls actually do, mm-hmm. That's not feminine qualities. That's feminine, like, practice, like, habits, and that's not normal. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say that. But having feminine qualities, like, a girl wants someone who's caring. A girl wants someone who's gentle. A girl wants someone who's loving. That's not bad. And, like, men and women have different qualities for different reasons, but like, that doesn't mean that, like, a guy can't be caring and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even considered necessarily, like, feminine.
Mm-hmm.
That's just more traded with women than it is with men. But it can be seen on both sides, truly.
I think it's important for you to understand what it is to be a man. Like, what's the masculine qualities? And if you want to know that, it's called the Bible. It tells you exactly what a man should be. Yeah. Once you have defined that and understand what God wants you to be, understanding what feminine qualities are, that's not wrong to be caring and tenderhearted. I think that's super important, to be gentle. Yeah. Something you should ask yourself is like, how do I want my son to be? Mm-hmm. Or how do I want my daughter to be treated? Yeah. You know, it's like, of course you want someone to treat your daughter with respect and loving and tenderness and everything like that, and that's not wrong. But I would say as a man, don't let the feminine qualities overpower your masculinity. I think your masculinity should be very apparent, but don't let your masculinity get to a point of being defined by society, but defined by God.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Next question. How can you pull yourself away from sexual sin, intimacy in a relationship? Boundaries. We've said that over and over again.
Yeah.
We'll say it again.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries.
And setting those boundaries further out than you would expect. So.
Oh my gosh, this is my favorite question. How to Rizz.
Guys, I got you. Oh my gosh.
Anna is the best Rizzler ever.
I don't even know how.
Cap.
Truly.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
Show me. Okay, teach me your ways, Rizzler.
Okay. Truly, Rizz is literally like, it's just confidence. It's just knowing who you are, knowing whose you are, and rocking that. Like, I cannot explain this to you enough. There's nothing more attractive to a guy or to a girl when the person, like, of an opposite sex is confident in who they are.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like, truly. So, you want to know how to Rizz? Know who you are, know whose you are, and know what your strengths are. Truly.
No, I completely agree. Me and a few other guys, and I know girls too, including yourself, the Rizzlers. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah. It is. It's a lot of it's confidence in like. Yeah. Like, I feel like a godly Rizzler. Of course, this is important.
Godly Rizzler.
Yeah, be a godly Rizzler. Yeah. Is showing qualities of what God wants you by showing your fruit. We said this before. We'll say it again. It's super essential. The reason why we keep saying the same thing is because a lot of it stems from the same thing, but also like that confidence in who you are, how God made you, and everything like that, and a clear direction of what you want. A lot of times, like I've seen guys who are very insecure and like they like why do girls not pay attention to me? Blah blah blah, or girls be like, why do guys not pay attention to me? It's because like you're seeking that. But like if you're like, I don't care, I'm here in this moment and this is who I am. If they accept me or not, that's fine. Whatever. I know who I am. I know God knows who I am, and I show that characteristic. Boom. That's how you Rizz. Gyra. How do you respond to a significant other's trauma of fears in a or from a relationship?
That's a good question. Do you want to answer that?
Is this your question?
Yeah, it was actually my question. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have like a good answer for it, but I definitely like asked that for a reason.
How do you respond to a significant other's trauma of fears in a or from a relationship? Okay. This is actually speaking from experience. And this is going to be actually advice to how I would advise whoever I'm going to probably date in the future, so she understands where I'm coming from, because I get that. Because yes, it's been hard, especially with one thing after another, and there's just a ton, there's just a ton of stuff, and those who know my testimony knows that. And to answer that is one, understanding everything that's happened. Now, when you understand, also need to understand, did they come out of it? Have they dealt with it? And if the answer is no, I don't think you should do that. I think you should wait, or maybe not even wait. I feel like that's a bad situation. They need to heal and everything like that. For myself personally, I can say that I've completely healed. I have gone through all of the things that I've had to do, and I'm completely healed. So that's why I'm speaking about this. So if you are going through that trauma and you're like, I want to be in a relationship, no, you need to heal. This is a moment for you to heal. Don't put this on somebody else, because if you don't, you will hurt that person in the end.
Yeah.
So one, heal. So from the person that's been hurt, heal. From the person that's coming into a relationship knowing that they've been hurt, understanding. Two, boundaries. And sometimes that understanding comes into boundaries. So like for example, in my case, when I got cheated on, the girl I'm going to be with needs to understand there's going to be moments where I'm going to be like who are you talking to? Who are you hanging out with? You know? And I'm not trying to be invasive of their privacy or anything like that. I kind of just want to know, because like the last relationship was super secretive and I had no idea. And I didn't even know, you know? And so, like, that's going to be a question I'm going to be asking. Be like, who are you hanging out with? Who are you talking to? Mm-hmm. But it's kind of a double-edged question, because it's like, part of it's like, I really want to know who you're hanging out with, because I want to know your friends.
Yeah.
But also another part of it is like, part of me is kind of like, there is that fear, you know? Like, don't, just because someone's completely healed from some situation doesn't mean they don't have that fear. So understanding boundaries and accepting of those boundaries and understanding why those boundaries are there, why they feel the way that they feel. Now, if it's too much for you, once again, I'm going to say, don't get in that relationship. Understanding boundaries, and then another thing is helping them overcome. Yeah, that's a big thing. And now it's like, now some people will be like, well, I don't want an insecure man, or I don't want an insecure woman. That's not insecurity, in my opinion. I feel like since I've healed, I feel confidence. You know, I'm chill. I'm a pretty chill dude. I know that, like, but that's something I'm gonna have to explain to my significant other. It's like, you're gonna help me overcome, because there's gonna be some moments where I'm gonna be like, I feel like I've healed, but there's gonna probably be a moment where I'm gonna be like, I don't know how to feel, because I don't know if I'm reacting negatively to this. I don't know if that's unreasonable, but help them overcome that, because there is still that fear, you know? So like, help them overcome it. That's not an insecurity. You're just helping them be more secure with you. And in that sense, look at it as like, you are creating a sense of comfort and a sense of safety for them. And here's the thing, and if you have been through that trauma and everything like that, create that safety for the other. Because I think, especially for a guy, creating a safe place for your woman is super important. Because in my opinion, sometimes girls hold in a lot, and creating a safe place for them where they can be their ugliest is super important, and show that despite all the ugliness, that you will love them no matter what.
So you're calling women ugly? I'm joking.
Yes, no.
Oh,
but no. It's
no,
like,
I know what you mean.
So
like,
show that comfort.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In a relationship or from a relationship, yeah. So like, understanding boundaries and comfort. Now, once again, I'll say this: if they are overboard with it, you know, there is a point where it's overboard.
Yeah, there's a point where it becomes insecurity,
yeah.
And then it's just like, you've not fully worked through this.
Exactly, and that's why that goes back to is, have they fully healed? And if they haven't, reconsider. And that's kind of, in my opinion, it's like, that's why I feel like that's why you need to be their friend first, because you could have that conversation with them, because there is no attachment yet. So you can be like, hey, have you healed from this? Like, how do you feel about this current moment? And they'll probably tell you honestly, because I'll tell someone honestly, straight up. If they ask me, like, how do you feel about the events that have happened? What happened with your parents' relationship, everything that? I'll answer honestly. Like, does it hurt? Obviously it hurts, but I've come through it, and God's redeemed me through that. So that's some encouragement there.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Actually, the last question. Oh.
No, there's 3.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's a long question.
What are some practical tips for fighting the battle of comparison and envy?
Oh, that's hard. That's something that I dealt with for a very long time. Just honestly, you have to be content with yourself before you can be content with somebody else. If you're constantly tearing yourself down, you're gonna get nowhere. And that's hard to say, because I feel like everyone kind of deals with that. We are our worst critics. We are always like, oh my gosh, like, I have too many, like, I haven't plucked my eyebrows, or, like, I haven't, like, washed my face, or, like, all these different things, or she looks so much prettier, or she has more money, or she looks nicer in this and that. Like, I used to tear myself down so much, because I didn't want to be who I was, because I thought who I was not enough. But truly, like, the best way to combat comparison, because this is my favorite phrase, comparison is a thief of joy. The best way to combat comparison is by not looking at other people for validation and for, like comparison, but looking at yourself and learning that you are enough through Christ. We will never be enough without God, and we will never, ever be enough, like, just me on my own. But God has redeemed me, and he has given me the ability to have a relationship with him, and he tells me who I am in him. I am beautifully and wonderfully made. I am made in his image and in his likeness. Those are things that you should not take lightly, truly. Like, if you are battling with this struggle of comparison, like, just, and this sounds kind of insensitive, but I don't mean it like this, truly place it in the Lord. Like, ask God, like, where are these things coming from? Am I placing them on myself? Are my parents placing it on me? Like, are my siblings placing it on me? Like, where is this coming from? And then also, like, actively pray to the Lord that he reveals to you who you are and whose you are and what your worth is. Mm-hmm. Because that's, like, the only way that you can combat it. And that's the only way, like, I've been able to combat it. And I still, like, slip up. Like, I still, like, sometimes will look at certain people and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, she's literally perfect. And I get mad. And, like, one thing I used to always do is I used to always compare myself. And I used to just, like, think I was, like, a level down from any other girl who was blonde. Like, blonde. For just the hair color. It doesn't matter if she was, like, and I, not to compare, but, like, it doesn't matter if she was prettier or uglier than me. If she had blonde hair, she was automatically better than me. Why? Because when I was little, I was taught that. Mm-hmm. Like, I was taught that so-and-so is prettier because she has blonde hair. Or so-and-so is nicer because she has blue eyes. And so I grew up hating that about me. I grew up hating the fact that I have brown hair, that I have brown eyes, that I have dark skin. But truly, like, I can celebrate those things because I know that I'm beautiful. Mm. And, like, I know that not everyone, like, God made different people for a reason. If everyone looked the same, like, that would just be so boring. Mm-hmm. Truly. So, yeah.
This also might sound a little insensitive, but, like, understand where you have control over. Like, you can't control your height. This is for guys especially, I would say. You can't control your height. You can't control, like, your features and everything like that. So understand what you can control, you know? Like, you can work out, you can do stuff. Like, work on your character. Work on how you talk. Work on how you treat people. Stuff like that. Like, that's far more valuable than how you look.
Than your looks.
Absolutely. Yeah. And understand, like, focus on yourself. Like, absolutely, I would say. That answered that one. Just curious, this is the last question. What is your number one relationship question?
What is my number one, like, my question to ask you?
Yeah. And we need to ask you.
Number one relationship question to ask you. Can you, like, ask first, because I need to think.
Okay, let me think. What's my number one question that I would ask you for a relationship? I feel like this is a counter question. Okay. But what do you think is the most essential question that you need to ask somebody when you're dating them?
The most essential to ask somebody.
Besides the godly question, I would say.
Besides the godly question?
Mm-hmm. Like, if you're a Christian or anything like that. What is, like, the most essential?
What do you value most and why?
Gyra.
Truly, I would say that. Because, I mean, like, that's going to show you where their priorities lie. Now, like, everyone can always be like, oh, like, God. But outside of that, do you value your family? Do you value your friends more than your family? Like, and it'll show you, like, answering the why as well will also show you, like, where their heart is and why those things. Like, someone might value their family more because they have had, like, a solid family and they've been through things. Someone might value their friends more because their family has not been there for them, but their friends have. And their friends, like, point them towards the Lord. And it could be different reasons. And so that's why, like, the why is important, because the why doesn't show you that, like, oh, they don't value, like, this or they don't value that. It's the reason that they value this is because. And that'll show you the kind of person that they are as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and just, like, multiple things. For me, my
That's
question...
a good question. That was a good response in my life.
Thanks. I don't know. Like, I don't have any questions.
That's a lie. Everybody has questions.
I'm trying to think. I'm truly trying to think.
How about...
I can, like, edit this out.
Yeah, I can edit this out, but, like, how about this? Specifically towards me. How that...
Specifically towards you.
If you want to, if that helps you.
Is it hard in a relationship to put the other person before you?
For me personally, it is not hard.
Okay.
And that's actually my problem. That I actually had to work through. And I've come to this conclusion. And this is for all the people. Now, this sounds very, like, this is not a conceited thought, I don't think. I think those people who struggle with putting people before them all the time, this is for y'all. I think it's important for you to define two things. How should you treat somebody and how they should treat you.
Yeah.
And now, I never defined how someone should treat me till after my last relationship. And after my last relationship, I was like, man, I should have made that list. Because that's actually really important, because my whole life I always thought, like, you know, it's that person above me.
Yeah.
Because I saw how my parents treated each other. And I was like, I don't want to have a relationship like that. I want to have that relationship where I put that person above me no matter what. Yeah. Above everything. Like how I feel, blah blah blah. Like, and that's great and all, but there's a limit.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, like, and there's that second thought of, like, a lot of times you have to, now this might be hard for some people and they might not agree with me, but I think this is super essential. Sometimes the best thing for someone is not what they want.
Yeah.
It's what they need. And sometimes that looks differently. Like, a stupid example, but I'll use this example anyways. If a girl goes, I want canes every single day.
Yeah. Probably not the best thing.
Probably not the best thing for her. Like, that's not good for your health. Like, help her out. But, like, that's such a silly thing, but that's kind of important. That goes into spirituality. That goes into mentally. That goes into emotionally, financially, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to define how you want to be treated and how you should treat somebody else. And then, once again, realizing that sometimes their wants should be placed below their needs. Nice. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Yeah.
With Authentically AV and Actually AV.
Whoa. It's actually so ironic. That's too funny.
Let's go.
But
anyways, thanks for joining us. I hope that answers all your questions. And if you have any other questions, comment down below and I will answer them, and maybe Anna will come back and answer them as well.
Whoa.
Who knows?
If y'all thought I was cool, maybe I can join back.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. Kind of. All right. Bye,
y'all
guys.
have a great day.